It is seen a guy who is in the wheelchair is playing basketball. Then in a classroom, there is another guy named Nomiya. The students talk about how he has got an afro, and they rumor him that he comes to their class to get his stuff or something. But Nomiya asks them about his desk, then he picks it by himself. Even, he says hello to a student girl named Okazaki. It turns out it was him who sent Okazaki a letter in her school back when he was in year 1. In Okazaki's mind, she remembers that letter was pushed so deep into her bag that she got so grossed out. But if she tells it to Nomiya, she thinks she will be dead meat. After that, Nomiya confesses her. He asks if she wants to be taken by him. But in an instant, another student named Takahashi shows up. He tells Nomiya that there are still traces of Nomiya in the room, and they are not wanted there. Then Nomiya brings up a topic about how Takahashi is a captain. Nomiya acts as if he is glad, but actually he mocks Takahashi. Nomiya says it is good because Takahashi has always wanted to be captain. Nomiya congratulates Takashi while kicking him. After that, there is scene about some teachers talk about Nomiya. They think he will definitely have to get a job first. Even if he gets one, they doubt that he will stick to it. Then a teacher imagines if only Nomiya wasn't involved in the bike accident and hadn't skipped so many classes, he would probably at least graduate school. The teacher feels sorry for Kitahara because he is Nomiya's homeroom teacher. After that, another teacher starts to imagine if only Nomiya continued to play basketball, things would have been different. Then there are some students who are looking at Nomiya. One of them, whose name Masaki, wonders of Nomiya's hairstyle. Nomiya explains he expected it to be similar with Kobe Bryant's, but he thinks it is a failure. Then Nomiya tells Masaki that the next Jason kid in their school is Masaki. Then another student tells Nomiya that he only got the teeny scar from the huge accident he got himself into. He adds that it is such a miracle. Nomiya then only says good luck to them. He tells them that he will show them his way of life as a parting gift. Nomiya ends up taking off all his clothes. It makes everyone in school shocked. Deep down, Nomiya thinks that everything he does ends up in failure, and he feels that he is such an idiot. Then Nomiya comes to meet a girl named Yamashita. Yamashita uses wheelchairs. He bought her some first-class jelly from his mother, but the nurse forbids him to come there again. She says that she sees Yamashita every day. Hearing that, he feels sorry. It seems that he seldom sees Yamashita, even though he has a lot of spare because he quits school. He doesn't even know anything about Yamashita. He just tried to pick her up. He was just walking around aimlessly, and he saw her. He can't even remember her voice. Then Nomiya takes Yamashita to walk around. At the same time, he also overthinks how his failures start right after he quits basketball. After that, he finds the guy earlier who is in his wheelchairs and playing basketball. He can't stand with the basketball's sound. He misses playing basketball. He tries to grab the basketball, but the guy won't let him. It makes him grab the ball from the guy, and he starts to play basketball. Maya even says he is Jason Kidd, but the guy tells him that his play is too weak for Jason Kidd. After that, Nomiya challenges the guy. It turns out the guy's name is Togawa. Although Togawa uses wheelchairs, but he plays so well until he stops the game, because he thinks that Nomiya is too slow. Togawa's words make Nomiya remember what his fellow basketball team member told him. Then Nomiya screams, he did it to make him more powerful. After that, he decides to use the wheelchairs too. But still, Togawa is fast and can score. Togawa smiles because of it, but Nomiya is disgusted by his smile. Again, Togawa can score again, and he almost wins. But in the last game, both of them falls from the wheelchair, and Yamashita manages to catch the ball while smiling. Coming back to the hospital that day, Nomiya feels gutless. That was the first and the last smile he will ever see on Natsumi. He is clouded by guilt as he has crippled her. Nomiya thinks that there is no compensation for what he did, and he is determined to live for her, but she has never looked him in the face even once. Even though she hates him, he still comes to see her, and that is really bold. It must be painful for him. It was then that Nomiya stopped playing basketball. Then, Nomiya is taking a driving lesson. The instructor tells him to breathe in and just take it easy. Nomiya says that since that bike accident, he has not ridden in another vehicle because it revives the horror of that accident. But then Nomiya ends up crashing into another car because he took the wrong turn. Turns out, the person in the other car is Azumi. Then as Nomiya and Azumi talk while drinking coffee, Azumi says that it was her fault, and she mentions that she did not even pass the classes, as she is just really slow at things like that. Nomiya says that it was his fault because he was the one who was panicking. He then mentions to her that it looks like she really wants to get the license, like it is a challenge. She then says that if she does not get the license, it will be hard to continue playing basketball in a wheelchair. That makes Nomiya confused. Azumi explains that wheelchair basketball is a sport today. Nomiya then says that he does know a lot about it, and in fact he played it once. He then asks her if she plays it too, but she says that it is not her. Then she shows him a picture of her when she was younger and someone else. Nomiya asks if the person in the picture is her older sister, but apparently, she is not. Azumi then says that it was before the illness, a bone disease that caused her to have her leg amputated. Azumi then introduces to Nomiya that she is actually the manager of a wheelchair basketball team. She then tells him to come and see her team play if he has time. After that, Azumi starts to walk away, but then Nomiya calls her name, so Azumi looks back. She then asks him to work hard for the driving license, and then she waves goodbye. As she leaves, Nomiya thinks that she is definitely his type. Then one day, Nomiya comes to see Azumi's team play, and he is sitting on the bench offering encouraging words. Azumi notices him and greets him, and Nomiya encourages the team to go beat the crap out of those weaklings. Meanwhile, Togawa also watches the match on the very back of the benches. He looks in disguise as well. As he notices Nomiya, he wonders what he is doing there. The match continues, and as Togawa observes the players, he gets annoyed as they should have scored. Azumi approaches Nomiya, asking if this is the first time he came to see a match, and she asks his opinion about it. Hearing no response from him, Azumi then slaps his head and asks him if the match is boring. Nomiya says no, saying it is just that he knows a guy, whom he can call him as the Vince Carter of wheelchair basketball. And having watched the match, it makes Nomiya realize that there is no one there even near that guy's level. Then after some time, the match is over and Azumi's team ends up losing. Still, they can still smile about it. And that makes Nomiya think why they smile even after being defeated, and he wonders if it is because they are in wheelchairs and that they are nothing like Togawa. But somehow, it makes him feel so annoyed, and it may be because they remind him of the smiling clowns from his ex-team, who he still cannot forget about still. Then, Nomiya sees Togawa. Nomiya then introduces Togawa to Azumi, referring to him as a powerful prayer. He tells her that Togawa will be useful to the team. So, he suggests she let him play for her team. However, it turns out they all already know each other, and apparently, Togawa used to be in the team. Azumi then asks Togawa to return to the team, and she asks him that he still wants to play basketball, so that is why he came to see them play. However, Togawa arrogantly says why would he join a team that laughs at their own defeat. Then he moves to leave. Azumi asks after him how he got there, and how he is going to go home. As Togawa waits for the bus, he recalls the time when he was still in the team. He once became upset at them, asking how they all can still laugh and smile even after they lost. He then questioned them if they even want to play basketball, or even want to win the game. Then one of the guys asks him if that is all he wants, mentioning he is the only one who goes overboard like that. Then he says to him to just quit the team already. Another guy then questioned if it is not good enough that they enjoy their game. At least that is what they all think, champion or not. In the end they are still crippled. Hearing that, Togawa punched the guy who said that, and they both started fighting as the other guys tried to stop them. Nomiya sees Togawa alone at the bus stop when the bus arrives. However, Togawa does not get on the bus. Nomiya approaches him and asks him why he is not getting on the bus, but Togawa says nothing. Nomiya then mentions that he asked Azumi about Togawa quitting the team, and Togawa calls her an idiot. Nomiya then scolds him for calling her an idiot, saying that she is a really nice girl. He tells Togawa she went through all the trouble to get her driving license for him, even if she is a bit slow. Togawa has nothing to say about it. Then eventually, Nomiya just helps him to get on the bus. As they both ride the bus, Nomiya suddenly chuckles and Togawa asks why he is laughing. Nomiya says that he really thought he was a girl in the picture of both Togawa and Azumi. Nomiya then says that he almost cannot believe that such a cute kid like that can turn into this, and that makes Togawa tell him to shut up. As they sit in silence, Nomiya recalls what Azumi told him about Togawa. She mentioned that she has known him since they were kids, and that he is different now. That makes Nomiya think that just by looking at Togawa's face, he knows that it is not his true self. Nomiya thinks that Togawa does not want to be hurt anymore, and he does not want to be held back by others. Nomiya then asks Togawa if he has been playing since their last game, and Togawa says he has not played again, and neither has Nomiya. Then, Nomiya sees Masaki walking down the street. He tries calling his name, but it seems like Masaki cannot hear him. Nomiya is working at the karaoke. But when one of his workmates asks him to help him with some work, Nomiya just ignores him and keeps reading his driving instruction book. Then the guy says that he is going to clear boot H number 15, and he tells Nomiya to handle the customers for him. Then some customers come. However, the guys who just came are the guys from Nomiya's school, and one of them is Takahashi. Seeing them, Nomiya quickly hides, thinking that he would have gotten a part-time job further from school. The guys are confused since no one is there. They then start mentioning about Masaki, saying that he is nothing just like air. One of them also says that Masaki was really into the whole Jason Kidd thing that Nomiya entrusted to him. They say that nobody passes to Masaki during the game, just like air running all over the court. One of them guesses that Takahashi was the one who schemed that, but Takahashi says that it is nothing like that. He then says that it is a fact that anything related to Nomiya just will not go on there. He then asks Seiki if that is the reason he switched sides, but he denies that, saying that he was never in Nomiya's group. Then, Nomiya's workmate appears, confused as to why there is no one manning the counter. Then he eventually becomes the one showing the guys to their booth. Nomiya, who had been listening to what the guys at karaoke said, remembers when he saw Masaki walking down the street, looking so preoccupied. After work, Nomiya visits Masaki's house. It turns out that Masaki was suspended for 10 days because he was fighting during practice. Masaki's grandfather tells Nomiya that Masaki has been ill as of late. He used to be a talkative boy, but he rarely speaks now. He then asks Masaki's grandmother when he started to become like that, and she says that Masaki has been depressed since Nomiya left school. Masaki's grandma then says since Nomiya came all the way to visit Masaki, she thought she should wake him up, but Nomiya tells her to just let him rest. As Nomiya is about to go, Masaki's grandma asks him what other students think of Masaki, but Nomiya says that he does not really know since he is no longer part of that school. He then mentions that, in school, Masaki does not speak much, does not joke around, does not know the latest news on TV either. Masaki also never hangs out with his classmates, not even in tune with the latest fashion, but he has a lot of jerseys. Nomiya then says that something that is really Masaki is the indifference part of him. Masaki doesn't care about all the things the other students care about, like others try not to be different from their friends. He adds that if someone hangs out with someone like Masaki, people will see them as a coward. Also, one more thing is that Masaki only has passion for basketball. Then, Masaki's grandfather offers Nomiya if he would like to have a drink with him, but Masaka's grandma tells her husband that Nomiya is still underage. Later that night, Nomiya gives Togawa a call. He asks him if he wants to play basketball after. As Togawa is about to refuse, Nomiya tells him that it is a game for revenge and their opponents are some really tough high school players. Before Togawa can respond, Nomiya tells him that he expects him to be at West High's gym, and then he closes the call. Togawa wonders what Nomiya is up to. Togawa is visiting Yamauchi, and he tells him about the phone call he got earlier. Yamauchi asks if it is a friend, but Togawa says that it is just a regular basketball-loving weirdo. Meanwhile, in another place, Nomiya is getting on a bus to God knows where. Yamauchi asks Togawa what he has been up to after quitting the team, and if he has been playing basketball, which Togawa has not. Yamauchi then says that Togawa is a pretty weird guy, fighting with his own team. Yamauchi then mentions that he bought a new ball. Even though his body is getting weaker by the day, just having the ball in his grasp makes him feel stronger. Togawa jokingly says that he is just as weird as himself. Yamauchi then asks Togawa if he is the type to capture every scene from their games in his mind, and Togawa says that he isn't at all and that he forgets easily. But it is the opposite for Yamauchi. He says he remembers everything, every single game. His best game would be the one where they defeated the Saitama Penguins. To be able to be a part of the win, for Yamauchi, that experience was on par with Jordan's last shot in the NBA Finals in 1998. He then says even though he can never play again, he doesn't feel one bit of regret, and looking at Togawa makes him think that he too can do it. Meanwhile, Nomiya seems to be waiting for something or someone. Then not long after, his former teammates from his ex-school come as well. Takahashi asks him why he called them. When they get inside the gym, Nomiya says that this is about Masaki. He tells Takahashi that after quitting the basketball club, it feels like there is no place to play basketball, and he realized it for the first time after he quit. He then tells the guys if it is true, then he is going to have to force pain into each and every one of them. Also, he doesn't have the fear of being expelled or suspended. Nomiya says that they will settle this over basketball, just to help him release the tension boiling inside of him. He adds that there is another guy boiling with fury on the way. And at that moment a car comes toward them, but it looks out of control. Turns out it is Azumi who is driving and Togawa is in the passenger seat. Nomiya tells the guys that it will be 2-on-2, with him teaming up with Togawa. Seeing Togawa in a wheelchair, the guys are confused. Takahashi says that he does not mind a game, but then he suggests placing a bet for 1 million yen. If he wins, the bet is off. He just wants Nomiya to get away from him. Then the 2-on-2 game begins. It is Nomiya and Togawa versus Takahashi and Seiki. As they begin the match, the rest of the guys say that this game, referring to it as a 1-on-1 game, is going to be interesting. They say that the presence of Togawa and Seiki in the game will not make a difference, and the real game is between Nomiya and Takahashi. Nomiya manages to score first, however. Togawa does not seem like doing much. Apparently, he is using his own method to achieve triumph. He is pretending to be skilled. And it turns out that Togawa has told Nomiya to start the game up with his 1-on-1 and to put in a lot of effort there. As they continue playing, Takahashi makes a foul, knocking Nomiya to the ground. Nomiya tells Takahashi that he is going to get what Masaki got from him, and Nomiya is going to show him. Takahashi seems to be hesitating when he dribbles and makes a jump shot, but Nomiya already reads his moves, so he manages to prevent him from scoring. Nomiya is in control of the ball, and he is about to shoot, but he is guarded by both Takahashi and Seiki, so he passes the ball to Togawa. And since no one is covering him, he charges forward and passes the ball back to Nomiya and scores. Togawa then asks Nomiya how many more points to get, and Nomiya says 6 more. Nomiya then tells the guys that they had better start thinking of the wager. That is if Nomiya and Togawa win. Then both Nomiya and Togawa take off their jackets, revealing their matching jerseys underneath. Nomiya and Togawa, along with Azumi, are practicing in Nishika Gymnasium at 5 a.m. Azumi asks why they are practicing on the exact opposite sides of each other, since there are only the two of them now. She suggests that it would be fun to practice as a team. The two guys just say that they will think about it. That makes Azumi think that they are not really good friends after all. After practice is finished, Togawa tells Nomiya that they should head home now before the other guys start their morning practice. But Nomiya says that those guys are unlikely to do morning practice, and he was the only one who had morning practice. Still, Togawa does not want to bump into the baseball and soccer team boys, as they will get there soon. Nomiya is driving Togawa in her car, and Nomiya is riding his scooter. Azumi asks him if he is still taking lessons at the driving school, and apparently Nomiya has been skipping a lot of classes lately, though he does not tell them that. He cannot admit that he is still afraid of getting on the road. Later, Nomiya is visiting Natsumi, planning to ask her to spend the day playing basketball. However, he finds an old woman in her room instead. Then the nurse informs him that Natsumi has been discharged last week, and she moved to Nagano. That makes Nomiya wonder if he will ever meet her again. Meanwhile, Azumi and Togawa are still in the car. Togawa gives her some money since if it wasn't for him, Azumi wouldn't have bought that huge car. He says that he will pay her in installments even though it is not much. Azumi tells him that she doesn't need the money and that she did not buy the car because of him. She says that she wanted to take her uncle and aunt to a hot spring. At the boys' basketball club, Takahashi and his teammates are disturbing Seiki and blaming him for the loss against Nomiya. They say it was because Seiki was too nervous. Takahashi then pulls on his hair, saying that it is a violation to the school code. And as his punishment, they have all his hair off. When Seiki is in the classroom, the other students laugh and mock him for his head, which is now bald. At basketball practice, Seiki realizes that there were fewer passes to him than before. In fact, he doesn't think he was passed to, not even a single time. Then, Takahashi grabs his head like he would a ball, and he passes him to another guy. They all keep passing Seiki like he is a ball, making fun of his bald head. Takahashi even says that they don't have enough air in that ball, meaning Seiki's head. Seiki cannot do anything besides taking all the bullying. After practice, Takahashi and his teammates are on their way to leave when a group of girls calls his name. One of the girls, Ichikawa, gives him a letter. After that, Takahashi is walking home with a girl who looks to be his girlfriend, seeing how close they are. He tells her that he got a letter from some junior, and his girlfriend asks him for the letter, and she tears it to pieces. She then asks him if he wants to come over to her place since her parents won't be home till late, and Takahashi. Then they see a bicycle that they thought was abandoned. But it is locked, so Takahashi breaks the lock. Then he takes the bike with them. His girlfriend says if the owner comes back, he is dead, but he just says that he will beat him up. Turns out the owner of the bike does show up, and seeing his bike stolen, he chases after them. Takahashi's girlfriend, who sits on the back facing backwards, says that it is not very wise of him to make friends with thugs. That makes him confused, and she adds that his friend, aka the owner of the bike who is like a thug, is chasing after them. Knowing that, Takahashi picks up speed, making his girlfriend fall down and get left behind. But then as he is crossing the road without checking his left and right, a big truck comes and hits him. In another place, Nomiya seems to be trying to buy a ticket to Nagoya and back, but he does not have enough money for it because he used all the money he had on the driving school. Apparently, he wants to visit Natsumi in Nagano, but he needs 20,000 yen for the ticket. Then he sees two guys playing basketball. He then sees it as a chance to earn money, and he challenges them to a game against him. After that, he calls Togawa, saying that he wants to treat him to dinner, but Togawa says that Nomiya doesn't even have money. Nomiya then says that he may be poor in some ways, but not at basketball. He then tells Togawa that he made 20,000 yen playing basketball, and Togawa demands an explanation. After giving Togawa an explanation, both Nomiya and Togawa go on a venture of making money from playing basketball. They end up winning 7 games, so that means they make 70,000 yen. Their opponents say that the two of them played dirty, since they played easy on them at first because Togawa is on a wheelchair. Little did they know he is actually a secret weapon. Their opponents then tell them not to come back there again, as they are not even members. Nomiya then says that they are suffering from an inferiority complex, explaining that Togawa's wheelchair is his leg, and because those guys don't have the machine leg like him, they feel inferior to him. Nomiya adds that it is his skill, not to mention, Togawa's height is only half theirs. Nomiya then challenges the guys to try playing in a wheelchair if they still think that it is unfair. Then Nomiya reaffirms that it all has to do with one's ability. He then says that they will be back even if those guys don't like it as they leave. In the hospital, Takahashi is hooked on machines and is lying unmoving on the hospital bed. Then, he opens his eyes, but he cannot move or talk, and he feels like he is burning. His mom is informed by the nurse that he opens his eyes. Crying, his mom then says that he got hit by a truck while riding a bicycle and he was in a coma for 7 days. However, Takahashi cannot respond. He wonders why his mom is so upset. He also does not remember anything, and all he can feel is this extreme burning sensation all the way from his torso to his feet. He pleads for anyone to do something, but he cannot even say it. Nomiya and Togawa are at a takoyaki kiosk. They all eat their takoyaki as they talk. Nomiya asks Togawa how Azumi never comes to pick him up anymore, and Togawa says that he told her not to. Nomiya tells her to get her to pick him up, as he says it has been lonely without her around lately. Togawa then says that Nomiya is not Azumi's type, but Nomiya just denies that. Nomiya then asks what they should do with the money they won. Nomiya thinks that he has enough money to go to Nagano now, but why is he not going off to see her? He then thinks that Natsumi has gone to a far-off place, and maybe she is having a good time there. Togawa then suggests using the money to get licenses for both of them. Nomiya is confused by that because he did not know Togawa had been taking lessons. Togawa then says that he completed level 1. In other words, he has beaten Nomiya. Togawa takes the driving lesson because he feels like he is always holding Azumi back, and he doesn't want to be her burden anymore. He has been shutting himself in his own world because he thought he would be hurt again, but now he feels like he is changing. Togawa thinks that Nomiya came along and broke his guard with a bang, and now he thinks he can go back to his basketball team, and he wonders if Azumi will be surprised to see him with a driver's license. Meanwhile, Nomiya, not wanting to lose to Togawa, calls the driving school and reserves a slot for a lesson today because he has money. He then says goodbye to Togawa. It seems like Nomiya is now determined to go to Nagano by car. He imagines that he will bring Natsumi in his car, and she will be ecstatic. But then again, he also thinks that she might not want to go on a ride with him again. On another day, Nomiya and Togawa are back at the basketball ring. But then they see another guy in a wheelchair playing basketball. The guy's name is Mitsuru, and when he notices Nomiya and Togawa, he asks if they are the so-called duo. Mitsuru then says that it is time for him to earn some cash. seemingly challenging them to a match. Back in the hospital, the nurses are talking to each other about Takahashi. It has been 10 days since was admitted, and it was a terrible accident that could have cost his life. But his father has not come to visit him even once. Meanwhile, Takahashi's mom is talking with the doctor about his condition. The doctor says that a part of Takahashi's backbone is heavily damaged from the hard impact of the accident and is dislocated. The doctor explains that the very delicate and vital spinal cord runs through the human's backbone. However, due to the dislocation of the bones, the spinal cord has been severely damaged. Takahashi's mom looks so worried and tense hearing the doctor's explanation. The doctor then says that he is unable to give a definite assertion on Takahashi's condition at the moment, but it is very possible that he will be paralyzed. And if that turns out to be the case, then there is nothing in modern medicine that can heal his condition, and it would mean that Takahashi will never be able to walk as he did before. Takahashi's mom is very shocked and devastated to hear that news. The possibility that her son will never be able to walk again and never play basketball ever again. Then the big guy on the wheelchair at the court asks the duo for a one-on-one. Nomiya says it is not a problem. He just doesn't want to be hauled away by the other two punks. But the big guy wasn't talking to him, he was talking to Togawa. Nomiya thinks the big guy is an idiot for challenging Togawa, and there is no chance that Togawa will be defeated. Togawa agrees to play. But at the same time, Nomiya is wondering what paralyzed a guy that's as big as a pro wrestler to him. At the hospital, Takahashi's mother can't believe that her son has a big chance to won't be able to walk again. The doctor says Takahashi will probably need a wheelchair. The match is still ongoing. Togawa is moving fast on his wheelchair, trying to escape the big guy's guard. When he finally succeeded to get his way out, Togawa shoots the ball, but soon the ball is blocked by his opponent. Togawa looks furious. He thinks to himself that his opponent is too strong. Not only is he 190 centimeters tall and is using a high chair, but he is also very fast, and that is what bothers Togawa the most. The big guy shoots, the ball goes into the ring, and that's a win. Both Nomiya and Togawa are in shock upon Togawa's defeat. The two club members are mimicking their victory dance. After the celebration, the two guys ask the big guy in a wheelchair, Mitsuru, if he's already leaving. He says this is just a basic game, so he better go home before it's too late. Mitsuru also tells the guys to go home too before it's raining. Mitsuru speaks to Togawa. He says this is his first time he ever saw a wheelchair player out there on the street. According to him, a person who bets on basketball is something out of Japanese tradition, and he likes those kinds of guys. He calls them mate, which makes them confused for a second. Mitsuru explains that is how people call their friends in Australia. The other guy tells them that Mitsuru is actually studying at New South Wales University in Australia. Mitsuru says he has a feeling they will meet again someday, then asks what Togawa's name is. Then he also introduces himself. His name is Mitsuru Nagano. He accidentally speaks in English out of habit. Out of the blue, Nomiya calls Mitsuru and challenges him. He wants to have a match with Mitsuru using the wheelchair he borrows from Togawa. Mitsuru rejects the challenge because Nomiya is perfect in shape and everything looks alright. Nomiya is angry. He says it's discrimination and Mitsuru is looking down on him. Mitsuru gives in to Nomiya's challenge. They play a match, but Nomiya is defeated in a very short time. He couldn't even reach the ball when Mitsuru held the ball high to shoot. Right after the ball goes in, Mitsuru leaves the court. It is raining, and it seems like Nomiya and Togawa have parted ways. Togawa is in his wheelchair under the rain, devastated after being defeated for the first time by someone in a wheelchair. A car is passing by and splashes the accumulated water on the road on Nomiya, who is walking under the rain. He gets furious and says he will kill them for this. The car stops, then a bunch of thugs come out. They say they heard it and tell him to do it just like he said. Nomiya says he obviously said it, so they all would hear it. It doesn't take long until Nomiya is beaten up and all his winnings are taken by the thugs. He is hopelessly lying on the road. He thought the luck was finally with him. Takahashi is out of the ICU care. His mother says it is good that he now can get the sunlight and they can chat. Takahashi says it is no good. The pain throughout his whole body is still the same as before. He says his feet feel like they are not his own, and he actually can't feel his feet. At night, Takahashi cries in pain. The next morning, Takahashi is cursing at his condition and making such a fuss. A nurse tells him to calm down because there are other patients there. Takahashi tells the nurse to shut up and calls her an ugly whore. The nurse is not happy and stomps out of the room. She meets Takahashi's mother on her way out of the room, but just ignores her. Takahashi thinks his knees are up, so he asks his mother to help him straighten his leg. He says he feels like he has forgotten how to move his legs. His mother is confused. She tells Takahashi that his legs are down. Takahashi is surprised. A young patient next to him seems to be paying attention to what happens. A young nurse comes in and visits the young patient next to Takahashi Kanta. Takahashi notices the nurse, then looks at his face in a hand mirror. After some time, the nurse also pays him a visit. Takahashi sees the nurse's name tag. It says Nakamura. Nurse Nakamura tells Takahashi that it is alright now and he is done. Takahashi asks her what she is doing. Nakamura is doing something to his lower body, and he asks her to stop. But Nakamura says it is okay, because it is her job after all. Takahashi is stunned. He didn't realize that he took a dump, or even knew that he was wearing a diaper. He starts questioning what has happened to his body, and why it has to be him. Togawa is finally out of his seclusion. He is determined that he can do that now. He goes to meet the tigers, and says he wants to return. Azumi is thrilled. Togawa feels he has to do it in order to defeat that guy. The tigers' practice is over. The guys are about to get something to eat. Tamura invites Azumi to join, but she declines. He seems to have already expected that. He says he is just praying that their team manager won't suddenly become Togawa's personal manager. Azumi comes into the gym where Togawa is still practicing alone. She is playing back the moment when Togawa said he wanted to go back into the team. That time after hearing what Togawa said, Tamura laughed and said that wasn't like Togawa at all. Especially after he quit the team on his own after punching Tamura in the face. Tamura said he knew that no one dared to say anything even if they didn't want him back. Responding to what Tamura said, Togawa told Tamura to just hit him. But Tamura said he wouldn't be able to punch as hard as Togawa because he was paralyzed from the chest down. Togawa was silent, then Tamura threw a basketball at him right in his face. Everybody in the room was startled. Togawa was bleeding, but didn't say anything. He held back because he had to be back in the team in order to defeat Mitsuru. Then he apologized to Tamura for punching him the last time. After that, they went to practice. Azumi talked to Tamura in the middle of practice. She said to Tamura that she thought Togawa really was changing, and she was very sure that he would do his best for the team in the upcoming match. She knew it was impossible for Tamura to mend the differences right away, but she hoped he would try to accept Togawa. She also said that with Togawa around, the practice was a bit more tense in a good way. Tamura smirked and said that she, Azumi, really gave anything for the darling. Azumi questioned the term darling. Azumi quits remembering and tells Togawa that everyone has gone home. Togawa makes sure that they still have 15 minutes to use the gym because he doesn't want all that precious time to go to waste for the upcoming match this Sunday. Nomiya has just arrived at work and his boss is already telling him to go home. The boss says he won't allow him to tend the customers with that beaten-up face. Nomiya doesn't want to because he needs money, but he has no choice. Right before he exits his workplace, a customer asks for an ashtray and 2 sour plum juices. Nomiya turns around and immediately notices that it is one of the thugs who beat him up. He gets an ashtray and brings it to the room, but instead of putting it down on the table, he throws the ashtray to the man's head. The man turns to Nomiya after getting hit by an ashtray. Nomiya punches him really hard in the face while screaming that the voice was horrible. The other worker knocks on the door bringing 2 sour plum juices and sees the chaos. He calls the boss. The boss kicks Nomiya out of the workplace. Seiki is passing by and he sees Nomiya. He asks him if he's done working for today, which is answered by Nomiya that he just got sacked. Seiki is surprised, but he figures it is just like Nomiya to do something like that, and he thinks that is cool. Nomiya says he is stupid idiot because now he doesn't have a job. Nomiya then asks Seiki about the basketball club. He reminds him how he said that it would be hard being under that no-good Takahashi, but it is still good enough that Seiki still gets to play basketball. Seiki cuts him off before he finishes talking by telling him that Takahashi has been hospitalized. Takahashi is staring at the spot at his hospital room's ceiling. He feels like he has seen it before. Next to him, the young patient has a friend over and they are chatting. The friend says that the school has been so boring and it would be great if he could get better soon. Takahashi seems bothered by the chatter. Takahashi asks his mother if anyone from the basketball club came by while he was asleep. His mother says no one came. Takahashi feels enraged that no one came even though they used to follow him around. He can't believe they really ignored him after what happened. He plans to beat them up once he gets out of the hospital. Then Takahashi asks for his cell phone, but it was broken in the accident. His mother says she will buy him a new one, but Takahashi says it'll be meaningless because all of his friends' numbers were on that phone. The kids next to him seem to hear what just happened. It is Sunday, and the match has begun. The referee gives an offensive foul to red number 6, Togawa. If they don't turn the situation around now, they won't be able to be the better team today. The Tigers' opponent, Kamikaze, has not won a game the whole season, and yet they are losing to this kind of team. The supporters are hoping for Togawa, who now has the ball. Togawa is pushing hard, passing the opponent team's players one by one. 3 people from the other team are now in front of him, but he can see his teammate behind them. He passes the ball to him, but the teammate fails to catch the ball. Tamura is infuriated at how Togawa threw that 2-point class ball to a 1-point guy, because there is no way he could have caught it. Everyone in the team is not the same. They are divided into different classes based on the extremity of their disability. The lower classes are more restricted by disabilities. A team's collective point must not exceed 14, but the lesser point a team has, the more restricted their movements are. Togawa actually knows that not everyone in the team is like him, but it is just that he can't play well. He doesn't know why he can't wipe them all out despite the opponent team being small and amateur. Seems like Togawa has deteriorated because he hasn't been playing for a while. He already lost his stamina, even though it has only been one game. Because of this, Togawa feels Nagano Mitsuru seems so far away. The match ended with the Tigers losing 43 to 50 points. Tamura says to Togawa that he can't believe they lost to the Kamikaze. Tamura is saying how Togawa said he wanted to win for them, but all he was just being fickle-minded. He continues saying that the Tigers are no longer united, and the most foolish person is Azumi, who is trying so hard to protect Togawa. Tamura says Togawa betrayed Azumi's expectations, and when he goes up to the battleground, he'd turn his back on them. In Tamura's opinion, the least Togawa can do for them now is to forget about returning to the team. There are more kids in Takahashi's hospital room because it's Sunday. They are all visiting Kanta, the patient next to him. Takahashi asks a nurse if anyone came by when he was asleep, but no one did. Takahashi is filled with thoughts of how his friends are able to continue living as usual with his absence. He no longer can move his body and has to endure the pain, but nobody cares what he is going through. He thought he had his rightful place in Nishiku. Just when he thinks that this is too much, he wakes up from sleep and finds a girl standing in front of him. He doesn't recognize who she is until she mentions about the letter that she gave. He finally remembers, but the girl seems hesitant to speak. Ichikawa tells him how she thought Takahashi was really cool when she saw him playing basketball. Since then, she has always been interested in him, and that was why she wrote the letter, saying she wanted to be his girlfriend. Takahashi smiles a bit, but then Ichikawa continued saying it was just a phase, and she just admired him. She apologizes for being immature. Takahashi seems to not expect her to say that. The night comes, Takahashi is crying, wishing to be out of there. Takahashi doesn't remember anything other than he was riding a bicycle, then hit by a garbage truck. He hasn't left his bed once since that happened, and his body hurts so bad. Takahashi tells the nurse that the preliminary tryouts in school will start soon, and he has to be there for basketball, since he is the captain. But he knows he needs to be in the hospital for another month. His mother is at the doctor's office, still can't believe why such a thing is happening to his son. She says he doesn't deserve this. He has always been a good kid ever since primary to junior high school. The doctor says they will do their best to help him, but Takahashi will need all the support he can get from his family at this time. The nurse there says being unable to walk doesn't make Takahashi any less human than him or her. It is decided that today they'll tell him about his condition. While lying on bed, Takahashi thinks about what Ichikawa said. Kanta and his friend are watching a basketball film. Takahashi sees that and gives a small comment about how incapable the guy in the film is. But then the cubicle curtain is shut, so now he's not able to see the film anymore. Takahashi then thinks that even if he's discharged before the tryouts, he still needs to go for rehab. He also still can't feel his legs. Takahashi falls asleep. He is dreaming about his first basketball debut match. He was moving fast and outdid the opponent even bigger than him. He dribbled and lost the guy who guarded him. He shot the ball, it went in, and everybody was cheering. The game resumed, and when he finally got the ball again, everything was gone. A girl is kissing him, and the kisses wake him up. The girl that was with him on the bicycle, right before the accident, comes to visit and brings him flowers. Seeing the girl reminds him of the time when he got hit by the truck. The trauma comes and he screams, telling the girl to go away and just go home. Nomiya is sitting on the ground in front of the hospital when he sees the girl going out. Seiki comes to visit Takahashi. He says Takahashi has grown so thin. He skipped school, but is going to basketball practice later. Takahashi points out how Seiki never gets the ball, but is still going to practice. Seiki tells him that such a thing doesn't happen anymore. He says the practice is now carried out in order because district playoffs are nearing. Takahashi asks if that means the practice wasn't done right when he was around. Seiki says he wasn't saying that. Takahashi then says he will make it to the playoffs somehow, and when he returns, he will be after him. Seiki is quiet for a moment, then he tells Takahashi that based on voting, the team has decided to name Furuta as the new captain, and he will be number 4. Seiki is done visiting Takahashi, and he is now with Nomiya. Nomiya asks Seiki if he gave Takahashi the stuff his mother brought from Korea. But Seiki says Takahashi didn't want it, so he just left it there. Nomiya asks about Takahashi's condition. Seiki says he looks fine and just a bit thinner. On top of that, his personality didn't change a bit. While still trying to process how he is not the number 4 anymore, Takahashi gets another visit. His doctor comes with his assistant. He says that there is something that they need to talk about. At the gym, Tamura joins the Tiger guys who just lost to Kamikaze. The guys say they never expected them to be that weak. Tamura says it is all Togawa's fault. He makes sure they don't have to worry because Togawa will never come back. But when he enters the room, Togawa is already there. The team is now practicing. Tamura, who has the ball, is asking Togawa why he returned. Togawa takes the ball from him, then moves away fast. Tamura is chasing Togawa to stop him from shooting the ball, but Togawa already did. The wheels of their wheelchairs collide, which make Togawa thrown away from his chair. Togawa lands on the floor, then looks up to see the ball. The ball is circling around the ring, then falls into the net. He gets back onto his wheelchair, then answers Tamura's question earlier. Togawa says it is because he has nowhere else to go. Takahashi is looking at the ceiling, trying to comprehend what the doctor means by saying he would never walk again. He still thinks that he can be cured. He is looking at the sunset, which somehow looks unreal. But for Takahashi, the only real thing there is only his legs that can't feel anything. Nomiya is at Takizawa Public Gymnasium to watch Nishiku's basketball team play in the playoffs match. Nishiku is losing Maharashi. He observes the situation, how Furuta is hogging the ball too much, and how the game would be over in the first half without Takahashi. The male nurse says to Takahashi that they'll have to start his rehabilitation soon. Takahashi asks if there is some sort of surgery instead of rehabilitation. But the nurse says his injury is not the kind that can be fixed with surgery. The nurses are outside Takahashi's room, discussing the plan they have about Takahashi. Takahashi remembers the scene when the male nurse pinched his leg. He didn't feel any pain, even though he saw clearly that the nurse was pinching it. Both of the nurses realize that this will be a difficult process, but they'll work with patience. The male nurse wishes Miss Kobayashi, the nurse, good luck on handling Takahashi. Takahashi's father hasn't been there once, and the male nurse asks Miss Kobayashi to look into that matter because he wants to speak with both of Takahashi's parents. Miss Kobayashi is feeding Takahashi. Takahashi says that he was always better than anyone else, from serious sports like basketball to playing around like billiards. All he needed to do was just be slightly serious about it, and he would come out on top. He says he'll do the rehab seriously too, then he's sure he'll be cured. Takahashi coughs and the food comes out of his mouth because he is crying out loud. The game is still going, and Nishiku is still losing. Nomiya is frustrated. He sees Takashima is wearing his number, and he's playing so bad. He feels so stupid just by watching them play. He should have used the time to search for a new job. The opponent's team changes all of the 5 players to the first-year students. It brings Nomiya back to the time when he was on the basketball team. Nomiya ate his lunch in the 3rd period, so he could hit the gym during break to practice. At lunch break, he wanted to do some passing exercise, but he was alone. Takahashi passed by. Nomiya invited him to join the practice. But Takahashi declined the offer and told him to just rest instead. Later that day, the team was practicing. Nomiya was holding the ball and wanted to shoot, but another player came in his way. He said Nomiya was fast but had a fixed pattern, so the opponent would know to attack him from the right. He then asked Nomiya to practice his outside shot. He said to Nomiya that if he could do that, he would be able to beat him for sure. Nomiya practiced his shot until night. He even practiced his wrist snap technique when he was taking a bath, inside the tub. He said that was the wrist snap that will lead him to the last minute 3. That time, just like this, nobody expected that to be the final game. Takahashi tells Miss Kobayashi today is the first day of the playoffs. She asks him whether the opponent is a strong team, but Takahashi says he doesn't know and or even cares if they lose. As Nomiya continues watching the game, he thinks how that number 8 player was him. All of them were his teammates, and he was supposed to play there. He was faster than anyone else. When the game ends, Nomiya breaks into tears. He says it was all over. Just like that, everything was over. The Tigers are waiting for Togawa, who's still not there. Azumi says Togawa had somewhere to go first. The opponent, the Dream, is already waiting. They are worried if Togawa doesn't show up. But Tamura says it doesn't matter if Togawa is there or not. Azumi goes out to check outside, and there is a car pulling over. Togawa opens the window, smiles brightly, and shows Azumi his driver license. Azumi is surprised. She is smiling too. Togawa looks very excited today. Togawa is in the game, and he just scored. The Tigers are now tied with the Dream. A man from the opponent's side notices that number 6 left the Tiger before, and he looks like a strong player. Togawa is doing one shot. A Dream player is looking at him, thinking that he is so fast. Togawa throws the ball, and it goes in. The Tiger is leading by 1 point. The Tigers' bench players are ecstatic. They may have lost to the Kamikaze, but they are now leading against one of the 4 best teams in the nation. Tamura says it has only been 5 minutes, and it still looks like Togawa's usual one-man game to him. Then later he'll be marked by the opponent, and the Tiger is over. Besides, the 2 national team players are still on the bench. Azumi hears what Tamura said, and tells him to have spirit since the team is leading. Azumi finally saw Togawa smile again. She remembers the Togawa from before. In summer, year 1 in junior high school, Togawa was watching the students doing sprint practice. Azumi's friend, Yuka, noticed him and said he was looking at someone from their class. Yuka said he probably was looking at Azumi, then Azumi said it had to be Yuka because all the boys liked her. But Yuka said Togawa is kind of girlish. Togawa was surprised when saw the clock, then ran back home quickly. On another day, the teacher was recording the students' time in the 100-meter dash for their last PE class of the first semester. Wakabayashi, who was said to be the hope of the track team, asked if anyone wanted to race with him. The students all refused because they felt they were going to look like a fool for running against him. Then some boy pushed Togawa forward and said that he would go. Togawa and Wakabayashi were at the start line. Wakabayashi saw a bruise on Togawa's leg, but Togawa said it was nothing. The race started. Togawa remembered how his leg moves involuntarily during piano practice with his father. His father told Togawa that he was different from him because he got no pianist's hands and started learning at a late age, unlike Togawa. He just asked Togawa to get rid of his bad habit before the upcoming competition. But Togawa didn't like playing the piano for his father. He had other things he wanted to do. Togawa finished the race slightly behind Wakabayashi. The coach asked if he would be interested in becoming a sprinter. Wakabayashi was the fastest among the first-year students, but still got 300 others in front of him in the national race. The coach wanted to know how many runners would be in front of Togawa. Togawa was excited. He thought it would feel really great if he got to run past them all. The coach asked Azumi, who lived near Togawa, if she knew why Togawa always rushed home every day at 4:30. She said he needed to go for piano practice with his father, and his father returned home at 5:10. The coach was surprised to hear that and said if it was his case, he would never be on time. While at piano practice, Togawa told his father that he was asked to join the track team. His father didn't give permission. He said there are people who were meant to be pianists, and the amount of time they spend on the piano determines that. His father said he should focus on the competition, because he started learning piano too late and never got a chance for that. Wakabayashi saw Togawa and intentionally bumped into him. He asked for a fight and they fought, but Togawa lost in a short time. Wakabayashi said it was like fighting with a girl. But Togawa said he was faster than him and he would be ahead of him. Wakabayashi wasn't happy, so he kicked him again. At the piano competition, Togawa started off well. But the voice of his father kept repeating inside his head how he told him that he could do it and he wasn't like him. He lost control and his legs started moving, like it was running on the spot. He went crazy and screamed inside that he wanted to run. They were doing the sprint practice, and Togawa finished faster than Wakabayashi. Everyone was amazed. Togawa asked the teacher how many people are in front of him now. The teacher said that in the whole of Japan, it was 50. He was determined to beat them all. Togawa introduced himself to the team as their new member. He smiled very brightly, just like how he did when he showed Azumi his driver license earlier. In the summer of junior high school, a disease was already spreading through Togawa's right leg, but they were both oblivious to that fact.